Sometimes a falling star doesn't bring a wish. Sometimes it brings a curse of understanding. And that's the story we're diving into. This isn't your classic ghost story. This is the Gothic history of the Grey, the new phantom haunting our collective nightmare, the one that's kicked the old graveyard ghosts to the curb.
And that really sets the stage, doesn't it? The whole idea here is that our deepest fears, they never really go away. They just move. They've relocated. All those old supernatural terrors have packed their bags and found a new home, a much more sterile, cold home out in the void of space. So we're going to break this down like a classic Gothic play in 6 acts. We'll follow the rise of this phantom from its very first appearance, all the way to the eternal shadow it still casts today. All right, Act 1. This is all about a great migration. It's about how our biggest fears moved out of that creepy old manor on the hill and into a sterile, silent saucer. And you can see the comparison right there. Think about it. The old Victorian ghost, it was all about rattling chains in a dusty, damp catacomb. But this new ghost, the interstellar ghost, the Grey, its sound is the low hum of a craft in the cold, empty void. It's like the job of deepest fear got passed down from one phantom to the next. Okay, so for Act 2, we're going deeper. We're getting into the real psychological horror of what these things look like. Because here's the kicker. Their form is so terrifying because it's us. It's a hideous reflection of ourselves staring right back.
There's actually a word for this, unheimlich, or the uncanny. And it's not about being scared of something completely alien. No, it's that unique, gut-wrenching horror you feel when you see something that's almost familiar, almost human, but it's just off. It's that feeling of your own home suddenly becoming horrifying.
And this is what we're talking about. Look at these features. It's like a caricature of a fetus, a spindly, weak frame with all the life drained out of it. And that head swollen like a fungus. Every single feature is a twisted version of something human. And those eyes, man, they aren't windows to a soul. They're just cold surveillance equipment reflecting back nothing but an empty void. Now for Act 3. Every good myth needs an origin story, right? A kind of original sin. And this is it, the one historical moment that just shattered our sense of reality and gave birth to this whole thing. 1947, Roswell. In our story, this isn't just some date on a calendar. It's like a funeral bell, tolling out in the middle of the desert. It's the exact moment our known world started to just fall apart. It's a lot like that old Poe's story, The Fall of the House of Usher. That crash in the desert wasn't just a crash. It was a signal that reality as we knew it was disintegrating. It basically created a new myth, the story of a cosmic hit and run that left everyone as confused witnesses to a crime they couldn't even begin to describe. All right, Act 4. We're moving from the big, public crash site to somewhere much more private, much more personal. We're going into the bedroom, the main stage for the most terrifying ritual in the whole Grey legend, the abduction. So what do they want? It's not buried treasure or revenge like the ghosts we're used to. No, think of them more like interstellar auditors. They're here to conduct cold, sterile procedures. They're driven by this parasitic need to check the books on our DNA. It's this dark, macabre obsession. Maybe they're trying to save their own dying race. You'd think after something so traumatic, there'd be evidence everywhere, right? Wrong. And that brings us to Act 5 and the introduction of some very mysterious figures who make sure no evidence is ever found. Let's call them the janitors of the impossible. And their process is just chilling. It's so methodical. First, they just show up, unannounced. Then comes the intense psychological pressure. And finally, they scrub your memory completely clean. Their whole job, their entire mandate, is to make sure the unexplained stays unexplained. To keep everything, back to normal. And it's not just what they do, it's what they are. I mean, look at this description. They're just as uncanny as the Greys themselves. They move like these jerky artificial puppets. They just glide through a scene like an eraser on a chalkboard, and all that's left behind is doubt and maybe some vague, hazy memory of a weather balloon. And that brings us to our final act. After the encounter, after the cover-up, what's left? Act 6 is all about the moral of the story. What is the real meaning behind the Grey's eternal shadow? So here's the bottom line, the most crucial takeaway. This whole legend, it isn't really about aliens at all, is it? It's a monument to a very modern, very human fear. The deep, nagging dread that maybe we're nothing more than biological clockwork, just waiting to be taken apart by colder, more efficient hands.
And that's the question I want to leave you with. Think about it. Is our greatest fear really about what they might do to us, or is it about what their very existence proves we are? That in the grand cosmic scheme of things, we're just obsolete. A pretty haunting thought.